Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. With just 25 days left to the governorship elections, the stakes are getting higher and higher for seat of the Lagos State Governor. Joining us now is one of the candidates running for the office on Action Democratic Party platform, Babatunde Gbadamosi. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. It's great to be here yet again.
Yes, I mean, I think this is your third time on the morning show, correct?
I'm not quite sure.
It's good to have you here. You did really well on your debate. I saw that.
Thank you.
When it came on. So Action Democratic Party, so it's about 2 years old now, yes?
Yes, roughly.
Okay, and you know, Lagos has a population of about 24 million people and 20 different local governments. Can you truly say that your party's message have been able to penetrate Lagosians?
I think so. I think that social media has changed the game completely. There's been a paradigm shift in the way people access information. And in the most unexpected places, you'll find people, insisting that they're going to vote for the ADP because they like the candidate. Because they've had the candidate speak. They like the ideas that we've put forward. And many people, especially a lot of artisans, can actually identify with the things that I've said because they know for a fact that everything I've said is practical. It can be achieved, as long as there's a political will to do so.
Well, you have contested to be the governorship candidate of the PDP twice, first in 2011 and 2015. Yet many Nigerians only really became aware of you during this campaign, this Gibber campaign that we debate we had recently. How do you intend to win this election?
Well, we're going to win by carrying on this conversation with Lagos and Lagosians. People want something different. People want something better. Lagosians are highly cerebral, highly intelligent people, okay? And their intelligence has been toyed with for the last 20 years. They've come to realize that now. And there's a groundswell of support coming from the most unexpected quarters, even from within the APC itself and from within the PDP. I used to be part of the PDP, and I was almost single-handedly the sole opposition, the sole voice of the opposition between 2011 and 2014 for the PDP. So many PDP members appreciate that. And they've been working for us since this campaign started. And that support has intensified since the famous debate.
We hear that there are talks for a coalition, so to say. Are you aware of this coalition? Would you be part of it? And what would you do if you do not emerge the consensus candidate of that coalition?
There are in fact talks going on about a coalition. Parties are putting their assets on the table. We're looking at our areas of strength, our areas of weakness. We're looking at certain candidates, their strengths, their weaknesses. And I think in a very short time, there will be an announcement that Lagosians will love.
So are you sure you would emerge the candidate? And if you do not, would you still be a part of the coalition?
I cannot speculate at this point as to who the candidate is going to be.
So what would you do if you do not emerge the candidate?
Well, if I do not emerge the candidate, I would have no choice but to support whoever the candidate is, wouldn't I? And because at the end of the day, we all want a better Lagos. We know that the APC is utterly incapable of delivering the kind of Lagos that we want. We also know that the PDP has internal systemic problems. That's the PDP in Lagos State, not nationally. The PDP in Lagos State is almost, genetically completely different from the PDP at the national level. So, I don't know. I think what is clear is that the PDP is not likely, that is the PDP candidate, is not likely to be part of that coalition. However, certain elements in the PDP are going to be part of that coalition. Okay, they've already indicated an interest in being part of that coalition. And I think it will be an interesting contest on March 2. It will be very interesting.
And so you'll be ready to sacrifice your political ambition?
If we find a candidate that has all the attributes that we're looking for, honesty, integrity, integrity of purpose, clarity, good ideas, solid, workable, practical ideas, feasible ideas, then yeah, definitely, I'd be quite happy to step back and let them take over. But at this stage, we haven't found anybody yet, so we're just going to keep pressing on and hope that obviously every politician comes into politics because they're ambitious, and I do have ambitions of becoming the governor of Lagos State, so I hope that it will be me, obviously.
All right, let's talk about the debate again. So during the debate, you talked about using the money currently made by Alpha Beta, that is the company that exclusively has rights to collect money on behalf of Lagos State, to restructure the transportation system, especially the Apapa Grid, right? I thought that was a fantastic idea. I thought you really did very well. But is this an admission that if elected into office, your administration will terminate the Alpha Beta contract, which has been in place for over 19 years?
Morally, there's everything wrong with the idea that a private company should be profiting off the sweats, the collective sweat of Lagosians. More so when that private company itself does not actually pay tax, according to one of its directors. I don't know if you saw the tweets on Twitter by a former director of, former managing director, no less, of Alpha Beta, where he alleged that the company was dodging tax. Okay? I saw that. And we always suspected that was the case anyway. We always suspected it. And we'd been hearing reports of it. But for that fact to be confirmed publicly, so publicly, by such a senior member of that establishment, goes directly to the heart of my reason for deciding that the Alpha Beta, the idea of writing Alpha Beta into our laws is such an anathema to everything that is good, right, and proper, that our first job when we get into office will be to expunge those laws from our books as quickly as we get in. We'll be talking to the State House of Assembly with a view to getting either them to do it or we present an executive bill repealing those laws immediately.
Talking about getting into office, in your manifesto, you have said that if elected, your first priority will be to increase public sector pay.
Yes.
Arguably, people say that Lagos civil servants are actually rich.
No, they're not. Well, let's put it like this. They're rich, but is their wealth auditable? Is it auditable? Can they, as we say in Lagos, can they open their chest and tell us with their chests how much they're actually worth? And the truth is, most can't, because, the source of the money... So what we plan to do is help civil servants get some pride in their jobs by increasing their salaries. We have to do it. If we don't, then we're just digging our own graves, okay? Shell, Chevron, and all the big oil majors, the telecoms companies, Arise TV, and all the other big blue chips in Nigeria pay very well because they want a very good output from their workers, and they get it because of that. People are able to focus their 100% attention on their jobs because they have nothing else they're worrying about. They're not worrying about how to pay their children's school fees. They're not worried about how to fix their car. They're not worrying about how to replace their car. They know that those things are sorted. A Dubai policeman earns about 15,000 dirham per month. That's about 1.5 million naira per month. In any economy, that's solid pay. That is excellent pay. If Nigerian police were receiving that kind of money, there would be almost zero crime in Lagos. And so we're looking at police salaries as well and looking for ways to augment them to levels where policemen, at least in Lagos, will be able to dedicate themselves 100% to their jobs and not set up toll gates.
It's a laudable plan, but how do you intend to fund it? I mean, increasing salaries?
It's interesting you should ask that. When Governor Ambode first resumed, information began to fly around in social media, first in social media, then in the traditional media, about how the previous governor spent 139 million sinking 2 boreholes at the government house in Ikeja. Okay? Now, being a real estate developer, I know there's no way on earth that it's going to cost anything more than 10 million to sink a borehole, no matter how deep you have to go, as long as it's not an oil well. If it's a borehole just to get water, you can't spend more than 10 million anywhere in Lagos to sink it. But the previous governor apparently, you know, wrote it up in the books as 139 million. Then there was the issue of the website, which the argument was it a personal website? Was it a state website? And apparently they paid 78 million for that. And he actually tried to excuse it. He actually tried to say, oh, they've got widgets for Facebook and widgets for... I mean, come on, man. You know, I'm an IT person, and even if I weren't an IT person, there's no way I would pay anybody more than 5 million naira for developing a website. Okay, especially a website like that doesn't really have some massive database behind it driving it. It's not an e-commerce website. You know, there's no transactions going on it. So why should it cost that much? You know, so it's the waste. That's what I'm driving at. Okay. The money will come from the waste. The light blue line, the light blue rail line coming from Okoko to CMS has a $1 billion difference between what the Lagos State government claims they paid and what the contractor says they got. The contractor handed down a report to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in 2010, their Q1 report. In it, they listed a number of overseas contracts, including the Lagos light rail project, where they said the value of the contract for the blue line and for the red line together was about $182 million US. Okay, and the Lagos State government, on the other hand, announced $1.2 billion as the contract cost for the blue line only.
So let me ask you, if you do win, would you be probing the past administration? And then you mentioned the lawmakers earlier. Over the weekend, last week actually, the state lawmakers started or threatened to impeach the governor. And then over the weekend, we saw that the impeachment move was quashed. Political solution, some would say, to the issue. What's your take on that?
No honor amongst thieves. That's the way I'll put it. There is no honor amongst thieves. Okay? There's a whole lot of unsavory activities going on that has been going on for the last 20 years in the corridors of power in Lagos State. And it has to end. We can't continue like this. The man there now has been kicked out, according to the owner of their party, not because he didn't perform, according to them, but because he didn't carry the party along. What exactly does that mean? What does that mean?
You said kicked out. There were primaries. He didn't win the ticket.
Well, he was kicked out. We saw the primaries. I mean, look, come on. We all have social media. We all have Facebook, Instagram, and all that. And we saw the live pictures being beamed by members of their own party where they were being chased out of, you know, the voting venues with canes and cutlasses and guns, cudgels. We saw this, all right? We know the man was booted out, literally.
No, but Lagosians
from the contest.
For Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
Which Lagosians?
The party members.
Which Lagosians?
But you haven't answered my question.
What about the ones that wanted to vote for Ambode? Why were they not allowed to vote?
Would you be probing the past administration if you do win?
President Buhari's activities in the last 4 years have shown us that that is a poison chalice. It's a slippery slope. Okay? I'm not going to be wasting state resources chasing my own tail. I'm not going to do that. All right? Lagos is bigger than anybody's pocket. Okay? No matter how much of a godfather you think you are, no matter how much, whether it's 40 trillion or 50 trillion you've got sorted away in your backyard, in cash, you know, it doesn't matter. I'll just let it go. All right? We'll focus on the future. No point looking back. We're not going to turn to salt. All right? We're just going to keep going, and we're going to make Lagos into the Lagos that they never allowed it to be.
You just mentioned a website, and I know that you said that public procurement was one of the challenges that we have here in Lagos State, and you also said that you would, if you elected, you would pass a law mandating that public procurement be published as well. So how can you ensure Lagosians that these records will be transparent?
Well, first of all, we're going to maintain a website. We're also going to publish these things in the newspapers. Every newspaper of note will get advertisements from the Lagos State government on at least a monthly basis, how much we're giving to the local governments in subventions, okay, how much this ministry spent this month, what projects they spent the the funds on. So, you know, if you see, for instance, I don't know where you live. Where do you live?
Lagos.
Yes, I mean what local government? I don't mean your address, just your local government.
Ikoyi, I live here.
Okay.
Just right.
So if you get a report that, say, for instance, McPherson Road, okay, has been fixed by the Lagos State Ministry of Works or by Etiosa local government, and you know for a fact that it's not been fixed, you can challenge that. You know, if they claim it, if they write it down and say, yes, McPherson Road fixed, blah, 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 drainage done, and so on and so forth, in any particular report, then you can come out and say, no, it's not been done, and you can take photographic evidence to show the world and, you know, put it in social media. Our social media handles will be very, very active, okay? They'll be very active, and we'll be receiving, we'll be there to receive complaints from the general public, and we'll also be holding a minimum of monthly town hall meetings, and if we can, we'll do weekly town hall meetings. We'll be taking this all over Lagos, you know, not just at Alausa. We'll be going from local government to local government throughout the life of our administration, talking to Lagosians live. You know, there's a lot of platforms that we can use for that now. There's Hangout, there's Facebook Live, there's Instagram Live, and, you know, all these platforms. We'll reach out to our people, you know, and we'll actually have physical people, locals, in each of the local governments that we go to.
The challenge you might have might be implementing that law. What do you envisage? How long do you think that that law will take in effect?
I hope that it will take effect immediately. Yeah. You know, the resources required to do all the things that I've said are not that difficult to come by. It's not that hard to pay for a newspaper advertisement, and it's not that hard to build a website and constantly update it. It's not that difficult. Okay, it's not rocket science. It's quite easy.
You have a stronghold in real estate development in Nigeria. Now, and how will that come to bear in a state especially, or let me put it Nigeria, in a state where housing for the teeming population is a challenge?
We've worked out over the last few years how we can actually deliver really rapidly affordable housing throughout Lagos. We have a plan to roll it out. 40,000 affordable housing units. We've kept
40,000 and
40,000 affordable housing units.
Okay.
We've kept our plans realistic and achievable. All right. As a matter of fact, we've tried to be as conservative as we can. We can achieve 40,000 affordable housing units easily, and we're trying as well to make sure that the government does not overextend itself in the area of trying to provide housing. So what we're going to do to supplement that is to build new infrastructure where there's none, like the southern Lekki axis, okay? That is the coastline. There is no road, period, right? So we're going to build a coastal road. We're going to refill the beachfront. It's been eroded over the years, okay? Starting from where Eco Atlantic ends, we're going to refill the beachfront all the way down to where Lagos State ends to protect the coastline, and of course to get additional real estate, which we'll be using for tourism purposes. There's no need, there's no point having a beach and not using it, okay? So the entire coastline of Lagos, in the Ibejuleke and Etiosa axis, as well as in the Badagry axis, will be put to use. And, you know, to make that happen, we're going to have to make it accessible, easily accessible. And that's what we're going to do. Now, once we've done that, okay, the private practitioners of real estate will be able to come in, and we'll be giving them incentives to get them into mass housing projects. We may be doing the Jakonde style of doing bulk buying. Okay, that will help lower the cost of the inputs into the projects. Okay, so that at the end of the day, when it comes to making those offerings to the general public, they'll be at affordable costs.
Okay.
And we'll be using the LBIC, the Lagos Building Investment Corporation, to provide cheap mortgages to, first of all, civil servants, then the organized private sector, then the general public.
How is your plan for Lagos different from the plans from the other over 30 candidates in this election? Because you talk about realistic plans for Lagosians. Recently at a debate, you said, when asked about environmental pollution in the state, you responded by saying that one of the solutions is replacing all private and public transport vehicles with electric ones. Isn't
Yes.
that over-ambitious?
That's a long-term solution. That's not in the immediate. That's a long-term solution. We're almost on the equator. That means we have huge amounts of sunlight every year, okay? But we're not using it. China now has a huge proportion of our energy needs met by solar energy, and they're not on the equator. So we're going to wake up and smell the coffee. We're going to install solar charging points all over Lagos. Okay, we're going to be talking to manufacturers of high-volume public transport vehicles. There's a company in China already that we've identified, BYD, Build Your Dreams. They've been selling their electric bus platforms to the whole of North America, Canada, the US. A lot of cities have already adopted their platforms. Okay, there are other electric bus manufacturers around the world as well. But I find that the Chinese company seem to have the most experience in this area. And of course, they've got the economies of scale to make their products relatively more affordable, especially for a third world country like, a third world territory like Lagos. So we'll be looking, and the reason for this electric thing is twofold. First one is pollution. The air in Lagos is probably the most polluted air in the world, probably. Because if you think about all the generators and what they're spewing out, and all the slow-moving vehicles because of the bad roads and what they're spewing out, and you see the buses, the state of the public transport buses that we're running, both the ones belonging to the state and the ones being run by the private sector, you realize that we're in very serious trouble. Unless we do something drastic, a lot of people are going to die. And you can see that cancer is already a major epidemic in Lagos. Okay? And unless we do something really quickly, our life expectancy will keep dropping. I think it's now 49 years, and it's going to keep dropping.
So how's your plan different from that proposed by the other over 30 candidates in this election?
It's different because
Why
it's
should
practical.
Lagosians vote for you?
Because my plans are practical. They're achievable. We're not looking to go and reinvent the wheel. We're not looking to go and bring something from outer space or bring something from outside of the realms of possibility. We're looking at things that are already being done elsewhere, that are achievable easily.
Okay, so in terms of non-oil exports, it's estimated that Lagos State loses approximately 10 billion a year, yeah? Okay. And about 2.5 trillion in corporate earnings, right? How do you intend, what plans do you have to
Well, I think the greatest
revenue?
inefficiency we have in Lagos right now is at Apapa seaport. Mm-hmm. A huge proportion of the containers that bring goods in go back empty. And it's because the customs people and the ports managers are utterly incompetent. And that is the truth. What is the cause of this incompetence? Mainly corruption. Corruption at the highest levels, corruption at the lowest levels, corruption at the middle levels. Until and unless the federal government, and this is where restructuring comes in, until and unless the federal government agrees that they can't do everything, and they can hand over the Apapa port complex back to Lagos State, all right? Until and unless they agree that, it will remain the same. We can build a massive lorry park to accommodate the lorries and unclog Apapa, fix the roads and so on. But until the customs get their act together, until the port management authorities get their act together, the situation will remain the same. Yes, the traffic will reduce, but the trade situation will remain the same. And you see, it's easy for people who don't understand trade, people who are not from Lagos, all right? It's easy for them to mess up the port because they don't understand the value. Lagos is a trading city, has always been a trading city for centuries. But go and check on the board of the MPA. How many Lagosians are there? I think there's just one Lagosian on the board of the MPA. So you bring all these people from up north, from inland, they have no clue what they're doing. They don't understand what they're there for. As far as they're concerned, they're just there to take what they can for their personal pockets. Okay, they don't realize what is costing the country, what their activities are costing the country, they have no clue. And until we start removing square pegs from the round holes that we've forced them into, the situation will remain the same. So we're going to be arguing for the return of Apapa Port to Lagos State. Let's start the restructuring argument from there.
Very well, very well. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining
It's been a
us
pleasure.
on this on the morning show today, and we wish you good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Good luck.